Hello everyone. Our team is honored to present our project which explores the application of AI and VR in reviving and preserving the cultural legacy of Nizamuddin Basti. The Hazrat Nizamuddin precinct spread over about 1.2 square kilometers and it's located right near the Lodi Road and Mathura Road intersection in New Delhi. This area grew around the Dargah of Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia, a revered 13th century Sufi saint. It started as a spiritual hub and over the centuries it has evolved into a dense and layered urban settlement. It's not just a place with history, it's a living heritage. Here, medieval Islamic architecture blends with traditional settlement patterns, all while coping with modern urban pressures. You will still find people participating in qawwalis, or celebration, and other centuries old cultural practices. Some of the major landmarks include Hazrat Nizamuddin Dargah, which is one of the most important Sufi shrines, the Dargah complex, Nizamuddin Baolis, and many more. The population is diverse, mostly Muslims, but with Hindus and Christian communities as well. The economy is largely informal with a strong presence of craftsmen, religious service providers, small traders, and tourism based commerce. The dense streets are mixed use, meaning home, shop, and business all coexist very closely. Over time, the area has seen significant migration largely because of opportunities in religious tourism, affordable rentals, and small business potential. So, in essence, Hazrat Nizamuddin is more than a neighborhood. It's a place where history breathes, where spirituality meets daily hustle, and where centuries of cultural continue to thrive in the heart of modern city. Coming to the site significance, Nizamuddin Basti grew around the 14th century Dargah of Sufi Saint Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia. In the 13th-14th centuries, Delhi became a major spiritual hub as three of the five great Chishti saints lived there, drawing pilgrims for centuries. During Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia's time, his Khanqa was in Ghiaspur, a quiet village by the Yamuna outside main cities of Tughlaqabad. Chosen by divine inspiration, Ghiaspur later became Nizampur and eventually Nizamuddin Basti. Delhi rose as a center of Islamic learning and refuge during the Mongol invasions, which destroyed cities like Baghdad and Bukhara. Scholars, poets, and mystics took shelter there, enriching its culture and spirituality. The Bauli, built in 1321 under Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia's supervision, is one of the few structures from his lifetime. Fed by the natural springs with sacred curative waters, the Bauli also has a submerged stone where the saint is believed to have prayed. The Khanqa had a simple quarter, a large Jamaat Khana for gathering, rooms for rest, grain storage, and langar for the poor. The Saints Khanqa in Ghiaspur attract other Sufis with nearby dargah like those of Patte Shah and Dada Pir. The area grew with Kilokharis rise under Sultan Kaikubad. Nizamuddin Aulia often visited its mosque and had a residence there, though he mainly lived in Ghiaspur. The methodology outlined in the flowchart is divided into two distinct parts. Part 1, site analysis and problem identification, and Part 2, strategy development and visualization. Part 1, the process begins with a comprehensive site analysis and identification of problems. This is followed by the selection of the urban village of Nizamuddin as the focus area for the study. Once the site is selected, on-site documentation is conducted to gather primary data. The findings from this documentation led to the identification of various issues, which are then categorized into two major types: spatial level problems and policy level problems. The second part starts with the spatial strategy development aimed at addressing the issues identified in part 1. From these strategies, 4 spatial interventions are defined. These interventions are then integrated into the design visualization process, which is bifurcated into 2 streams: static visualization and dynamic VR walkthroughs. In static VR visualizations, the model are built in SketchUp followed by post-processing using AI tools to enhance visual representation. And for dynamic VR walkthrough, models are also built in SketchUp, then rendered in Enscape for the post-process in ChatGPT Pro. culminating in an immersive VR walkthrough experience. This structured methodology ensures a holistic approach to urban analysis, intervention planning, and visualization for improved spatial and policy level understanding.
Site justification for selecting Nizamuddin Basti as an urban design intervention area. Located between Lodi Road and Mathura Road, the precinct holds immense cultural and spiritual value due to the monuments like Nizamuddin Dargah, Baoli, Chauset Kamba, and several Mughal era tombs. Our focus is not just heritage, but living heritage. The bus is active, dense, and deeply embedded in the daily lives of its residents. We mapped key landmarks, activity nodes, and cultural routes like the Host Procession and Weekly Market, which helped identify critical urban social layers. Coming to the aim, we intend to revive and preserve this living heritage using AI and VR not just as visual tools but as means to address deep rooted urban issues and re engage the community with the environment. Our objective includes AI powered monitoring of such as sustainable restoration techniques and immense VR experience to make heritage more accessible and understood, especially for visitors unfamiliar with its value. Lastly, the need for this study stems from visible issues overcrowding, sanitation, heritage neglect, and encroachments. Despite its rich history, the Basti lacks proper signage, interpretive infrastructure, and remains in contrast to gentrified nearby areas. Using AI and VR, we aim to bridge this cultural and technological gap through sustainable and inclusive urban renewal. To support our justification, we conducted a micro-level case analysis along Musafir Khana Road, one of the inner spines of the Basti. We analyzed building conditions and found a high concentration of poor quality structures in red, fair in brown, and only a few in good condition. Most buildings here are added incrementally, often without approval, leading to fragile built fabric. The land use map shows a complex mixed residential, commercial, institutional, religious, and heritage all tightly packed. This lack of zoning controls results in chaotic interfaces between sacred spaces and commercial spillovers. Common problems documented on the ground include waterlogging, lack of proper lighting, and large underutilized open spaces, especially near heritage nodes. Together, this analysis clearly highlights the urgent need for strategic tech-integrated urban regeneration and supports our decision to focus on this area using immersive and AI-added tools for design and management.
Some of the issues that have been identified are overcrowding and urban congestion. The streets are extremely narrow with dense population. The buildings are often added without planning permissions, which leads to poor ventilation, fire risk, and difficulty in emergency access. There is sanitation and public health issues. Limited sewage infrastructure, open drains, solid waste management leads to water contamination, mosquito breeding, high incidence of diseases, especially during monsoons. Then encroachment and heritage damage, unregulated construction encroaching upon protected heritage sites like Chauset Khamba, Urs Mahal and Bauli area. Damage to ancient structures, there's illegal shops attached to tombs and mosques. Water quality and Bauli preservation. There's problem of pollution of the Bauli water due to seepage of modern sewage and lack of natural rainwater discharge. It threatens the survival of one of Delhi's few active medieval stepwells. Social inequality and gentrification. As Nizamuddin East, which is nearby, becomes a very upscale basti, residents feel neglected and economically pressured. It impacts the rise in land prices, loss of traditional community fabric, cultural displacement. Safety and security concerns. Petty crimes, pickpocketing, scams, targeting, lack of adequate night lighting in interior alleys. It leads to deterioration of public trust and tourist apprehension. Cultural disconnect. Despite being a culturally historic zone, the experience of arrival and movement is chaotic. There's no interpretation signage or narrative, walking trails for tourists or pilgrims. It impacts organized arrival experience and interpretation leads to confusion. It diminishes visitor engagement and a weakened connection to the site's cultural and spiritual significance. The strategies which are being proposed are as follows. The peripheral areas of the Basti, particularly along the main city roads and the Nala, are proposed to be enhanced through the development of landscape walkways, public parks, and the improvement of building facades, with the objective of creating a more welcoming and aesthetically urban edge for both visitors and daily commuters. The treatment of the facades of the main buildings along the Basti main roads. Then the upgradation of road infrastructure through proper paving and grading. installation of adequate street lighting, and enhancement of drainage and sewage systems to mitigate frequent flooding and sewage overflow. Additionally, the relocation of overhead utility cables to underground conduits is essential to improve safety and visual coherence in the urban landscape. To improve the image of the Basti with sensitive promotional and marketing events, to reclaim, repair and restore historical monuments and revitalize monument areas, development of marketplaces with definite characters, linking the monuments with thematic walks, events and activities.
Open space design and cultural strategies. This slide highlights the open space strategies proposed to revitalize Nizamuddin Basti by integrating cultural, historical, and ecological layers into a cohesive urban fabric. At the center of the strategy is the creation of multi-purpose cultural ground, which not only act as a community gathering space but also facilitates cultural performances, exhibits, and festivals that reflect the area's heritage. The open space design strategies emphasize flexible zoning for performances, use of sculpture plazas, and integration of local materials to retain the vernacular character. We aim to introduce heritage markets, QR codes, and storytelling installations to make the visitor experience more immersive and educational. On the exhibition front, we propose the use of modular pergolas, interactive podiums, portable displays, and digital interventions to make the space dynamic and engaging. The revitalization of open spaces for cultural exchange includes shaded zones, ambient lighting, and multi-purpose stage to host both formal and informal gatherings. Moving to the right side of the slide, we see a breakdown of two key strategy clusters. Under exhibition space, the design integrates flexible and mobile elements such as modular pergolas, portable panels, and interactive podiums. These allow for temporary exhibits, community storytelling, and rotating cultural showcases. The use of tensile structure and digital installation not only enhances visual interest but also accommodates a variety of user groups and event types. These spatial interventions aim to reclaim public spaces, active platforms for community engagement and cultural identity, ensuring both locals and visitors experience the historic essence of Nizamuddin in a meaningful and participatory way. This slide focuses on built heritage conservation strategies aimed at enhancing the spiritual and historical essence of Nizamuddin Basti. Starting with strategy 1, the proposal is to restore the original architectural character of historic structures, particularly the facades, arches, and domes, which have either deteriorated over time or been visually diluted by unplanned interventions. The aim is to bring back the intricate details and materiality that once defined these heritage structures. The AI generated visual on the right side of the slide helps us imagine the transformed skyline and architectural continuity after the restoration, showing how carefully planned interventions can bring cohesion, dignity, and beauty back to present. Strategy 2 focuses on the revival of the Baoli adjacent to the Dargah. It aims to reinstate not just the physical structure but also its cultural and ritual significance. The restored Baoli would function as a spiritual and social space, integrated with the daily life of the community and reflective of the Dargah's heritage. Moving to the strategy 3, the goal is to transform the neighboring buildings into a harmonious architectural extension of the Dargah complex. This would involve using a common design vocabulary, arches, jollies, and local materials to foster a unified streetscape. The intention is to preserve the sanctity of the area while offering a consistent visual and cultural experience. Lastly, strategy 4 introduces the idea of productive buffer zone around heritage structures, ensuring controlled development in surrounding areas. This buffer will help preserve slight lines and prevent the heritage buildings from being visually or physically overwhelmed by newer construction. Together, these four strategies aim to regenerate the built environment in a way that respects Nizamuddin's spiritual core, enhances its urban aesthetics, and ensures sustainable heritage conservation through community involvement.